All right. Thanks for joining us for another podcast here with United Goalkeeping Alliance. And today on the show we have Coach Bob Pipech. Coach, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you? What are you up to? What do you do?
First off, thanks for having me Art. I really appreciate it. So I am Coach Bob Pipech, founder and director of Dominate the 18 Goalkeeper and Soccer Training. We just recently changed the name from Pipech Elite Goalkeeper Training to Dominate the 18 Soccer Training. And again, that was a really tough decision to change the name, but it's been my vision for a while to change that name just to have more of a regional and a national impact. Um, I love helping goalkeepers and I love helping outfield players and all aspects of the game. So again, with that name change, just representative of our core values, like we want goalkeepers to really dominate their 18, dominate the goal, dominate the 18, be in control in there. And just it also represents our passion and our core values of what I stand for. So again, it was tough to go away from that Pippi G League. Has been such a representative of who I've been and who I am and what my company's been about, and the coaches and the staff and all the parents and players who have done our camps and clinics and training sessions. But again, it's just looking at that more regional and national position and making a more profound impact. Also, the goalkeeping coach at Muhlenberg College, Division III college in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I also coach club soccer for Enco Soccer Club. Been the goalkeeping director for numerous clubs throughout the years across the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos, and just been coaching for a very long time. Had teams and across all ages, all age groups, from beginner level, U6 and under, and the rising stars, so to speak, to U19, U23. So it's been a lot of fun. I love the game and love doing and helping field players and goalkeepers be the best they can be.
So we will absolutely get to the November presentations, but before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about so changing your name, right? Going from Pipich Elite to Dominate the 18. When I when I first logged on and I'm looking at your name and Dominate, right? It's signifying strength, and it signify like it represents who you want it to be, right? Who you want the company to be. So talk to me about what it means to you to dominate the 18 as a goalkeeper.
It means so many things. First, it's just having the confidence to know you've been there before, and when keepers do our trainings, uh, they get that confidence. I mean, they definitely do. They become even from we just worked with Saucon Valley Soccer Club, and most of the goalkeepers there are beginning level goalkeepers, so they had a long way to go, so to speak, to get more comfortable with the position. And it was just outstanding the progress they made in 8 weeks. One session a week. It was just outstanding. And just like from those goalkeepers that are beginning or entry level to keepers who are 17, 18 years old, who are looking to play in college and or even have higher aspirations to play professionally. Like we want them to literally dominate the 18, dominate their goal box, make it very difficult for opposing players to score. I mean, and if they score on you or on us, we want them to know that they worked their tail off to get the ball in the back of the net. They did everything possible to score. So like it's representative of everything about my company, my coaching staff, the players who we are, the vocal leadership, and again, part of the presentation, like you mentioned, is not just about what you say, but how you carry yourself. So it's not just what you say, but it's also what you show through your actions and what you do. So yeah, it's so representative of our core values and beliefs and what my company is all about. When players and parents sign their children up, like they're gonna come, they're gonna work, and they're gonna get after it.
No, I love it, and I love the energy. Now, let me ask you the UGKA. Why did you decide to join the United Goalkeeping Alliance? What brought you over, and what has been the benefit for you? To be a member of the alliance.
Well, I take a lot of pride in what I do, and I'm very passionate about the position. I'm very confident in the position in terms of my experiences playing, at Division One St. Francis and semi-professionally and professionally. But there's players and coaches who have played at higher levels than I have, and there's other fantastic coaches out there across the United States and in Europe and beyond. So, you know, it's a matter of learning and growing and being better every day. And that's why I wanted to become a member of UGA. And that's why I approached Eric and said, hey, it looks like you're doing a great thing over there. I'd love to be a part of it. And he's like, yeah, man, we'd love to have you on board. Come join us. And that's where it all began just a couple months ago. I saw what Eric was doing. I'm like, hey, that'd be fantastic to join. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So, and just like us talking, the few times we've talked, it's awesome to network with other coaches, to learn from other coaches, because we all have a wide range of different experiences and different things to offer professionally. And again, it's just about learning and growing every single day. So again, although I'm like very confident in what we do at Dominate the 18s, goalkeeper and soccer training, you know, I'm not the only good coach out there. There's other fantastic coaches out there across the United States, like yourself and all the members of UGA, who I can learn from and grow from. And players who do our trainings, and their parents and everybody involved, they can learn and grow from as well. So it's just about growing every single day, getting better every single day, and then also the networking opportunities that present themselves, for both you and I, but more importantly, the players. About getting them the exposure and getting the contacts. So like, we, as we're a member of the chat, like we hear all the time where keeper or coaches out there for especially collegiately have needs, and they'll say like, hey, I'm looking for a certain keeper. Maybe they're looking for a freshman to come in, or a certain age group to come in for a futsal national competition, whatever it may be. And just having those opportunities where you say, hey, look, I got a guy, I got a kid, I got a great U14 male goalkeeper, an awesome U18 female goalkeeper, whatever it may be, about also getting those opportunities for the kids as well.
Yeah, and I think that for me, that has been the greatest benefit, just to be able to not only, I mean, the opportunities for myself, yes, great, but also the opportunities for the players, and not only my players, but players that I may never ever get to see or meet in person. But if I can give them an opportunity, if I can help them, guide them in any kind of sort of ways, obviously, super beneficial, and it fills my cup. So now let's talk about November. No, so November. Um, what's the topic, and what are you presenting on?
So Jordan Bell and I, we're doing the presentation on November 7th for vocal and non-vocal leadership. And I don't want to give away the farm too much because we're excited to present on November 7th. But there's so many aspects to being a vocal leader as a goalkeeper. It's about what you say, how you say it, when you say it. So for example, it doesn't matter whether you're up by 3 or down by 3. You want to have that same level of assertion and confidence in what you say. That's so important for goalkeepers. Situationally is so important, and you're going to talk a little bit more when your team doesn't have the ball. But when you do have the ball, you're also got to stay involved, because you got to have those in the back of your head. You got to be like, what if? What if this happens? What if that happens? So, but at the same time, be talking about opportunities for to aid with your team and keeping possession. So there's so many aspects to vocal leadership, and it's not just about, we say be a leader, right? It's like how you're being a leader with your team. Again, what you're saying, how you're saying it, when you're saying it, and then the non-vocal aspects. Jordan's going to take more of the Coach Jordan Bell is going to take more of the non-vocal aspects, but we're going to both, collaborate at times and offer the insight. But that's how we're going to divide it up. Is I'm going to do the vocal, and Coach Jordan's going to do the non-vocal. So it's a very exciting topic. We chatted for about 15 minutes today. We couldn't. It was tough, and not in a bad way at all. It was like tough to get a word in edgewise, because we were both like just rearing out the bit to jump and get some ideas, and we were both like and just excited and bouncing off what we each were saying. So it was really really exciting to collaborate a little bit today, and I look forward to working on it this week, and then finalizing it and presenting on November 7th.
So let's talk about leadership, just leadership in general, right? So how does leadership look like at like 9 and 19, right? Because obviously there's the big, we coach a vast number of ages and in age groups, and obviously males and females. So there's a lot of differences and nuances in between 9 and 19. So what's something maybe that you can expect out of a 9-year-old that that you're going to expect of a 19-year-old, but what's something that maybe you don't expect out of a 19-year that you expect out of a 19-year-old that you don't expect out of a 9-year-old? Can you talk to us a little bit about some of those differences?
Sure. Well, when I coach all these different age groups, and I've had the pleasure of doing that throughout the years, and even, now with the different camps and clinics and working with different teams, obviously we have different expectations for the U9 player compared to the U19 player. Like, the game is, first of all, we all play the game for fun. Like, the game of soccer is fun, and if you're not having fun while playing the game, then you maybe shouldn't be playing. But we also have that competitive drive, right? Like, we want to win, we want to be the best, we want to, help our team be successful, and so that's going to look different for a U9 player compared to a U19 player, right? Um, Now, with that being said, I've seen some U9 players who are, unbelievable. Like, you could tell they've been working with the ball since they were, 6 years old, or even goalkeeping wise. There's a player, Rafael Soto, I believe he follows me on social media, and I follow him. And the kid is like, he's I think 8 years old. And he gets after it, right? Like, he gets after it. Like, he's training regularly. Like, his technique is pretty spot on. But we have different expectations for the U9 compared to the U19, right? But at the U9 level, it's just about giving it your best, right? Giving it your best, having fun, and just leaving it all on the field. And that's all we want from our players, is to give it their best. Because, you know, when I was going through the ranks as a youth, and I didn't really get a chance to get to that really high club level to about 14. And once I played for the club, it was actually Supernova FC out of Harrisburg, and then we did like the started to do the regional competitions and that regional tournaments, and then the national circuit. What was that? The USL USYS, I think. Super Wiley, that's right, Super
Oh,
Y.
Super Y at the time.
Yeah. So Super Y, I was drawing it because I know it's changed a couple times in name. So that's where we started to travel nationally and things like that. But you have those different expectations. For the U9 player, it's just giving it your best. But part of it is that learning process, right? Like, we don't expect a U9 player to be perfect, right? We expect them to give it their best effort and learn from your experiences. That's true throughout. Like, not just U9, U10, U11, U12, and even U18, U19. Because when you get older, now it's like there's so many aspects about, supporting your team on the ball and crosses and all those aspects. And not being too high off your line and angle arc. And there's so many little aspects that maybe you won't get exposed at the younger levels, but when you play against a higher level competition at the U18, U19 level, then collegiately you will. So, from a younger player, we expect them just to do their best, and that's what being a leader is all about. It's great if a U9 player can be, that super vocal leader at times, but I think the biggest, most important thing is to do your best and lead by example. Now, we expect that same thing from a U19 player, but from a U19 player, we expect more of that vocal leadership and more of that presence about doing the little things well. Like, the little things really make a difference, right? Like, how you walk on the field, how you walk off the field. What happens if you're up by 3 goals? And we talked about a little before. What happens if you're down by 3 goals, right? Do you look different as a goalkeeper? And at the U9 level, it might be acceptable. And it's okay. I mean, I'm never going to get mad at my U9 player if we're down 3-0 and they kind of drop their head a little bit. I'll talk to them after the game, right? I'll say, hey, keep work, stay after it. You never know what's going to happen, right? Do your best. We get a goal, it's 3-1, now it's 3-2, and now we're back into it. So you stay on them about doing their best, but you might expect a U9 player to maybe not have the best body language at all times. But when it comes to U19, and older, we want everything to, the little things make a huge difference. And that's, as you get older and older, the little details matter more and more. So I think that's one of the biggest aspects of being a leader is, what you say, what you do, and then, how you look like at all times, how you carry yourself in training and the games, right? From a U9 player or even U10, U11, U12, we might see more of those days where, maybe the kid has a bad day in school and it kind of throws off their training a little bit, or maybe, and, part of our job as coaches is to get to know our players. So we could probably tell, like, maybe something's going on at home and they had a bad day, and you could see it on the pitch, right? But as the players get older and older, we're like, look, this is your sanctuary. You had a bad day, and we might talk to them a little bit about those things, after practice as well. But this is your time now. Have fun, get after it, and be your best. So, as we get older and older, we want those little details to be more and more refined, and Shooting to be perfect. We're never going to achieve perfection, but we're shooting for perfection. So I hope I summarized it the best there. That's the biggest difference. As you get older and older, the little details matter. But yeah, you could show leadership as a U9 player, and then obviously your leadership is extremely important as you get into U18, U19, and then collegiately or professionally.
So as a coach, right? So we're talking at like coaches right here. How do you expose your players to that, right? Because a lot of times there's like this crazy expectation, whether it's a set piece, whether it's even on a kickoff, on a throw-in. We kind of, as coaches, sometimes we expect them to know these things and to say, or to just be able to automatically know how to do a throw-in, even at U9, even if we haven't taught them yet, right? Or if there's a situation where there could be a play where a player, the goalkeeper rolls the ball out to a defender wide versus punting. Well, we as the coaches from the outside maybe know what the best decision is at that time, but now sometimes that expectation is put on the players to like know, without having them being exposed to those type of situations, or without giving them that knowledge and experience. So, from your perspective, how do we give that to the players? How do we let them lead, and how do we allow them to build that confidence, to be leaders on the field and in between the post?
Yeah, there's so many aspects to it. The first thing is the best teacher of the game is the game itself. So in coaching the club level, um, and unfortunately, it's occurring more and more in some of the coaching I do with my teams that we play against some teams where the coaches are always screaming at the kids, right? And unfortunately, that's not what I like to see. Because now again, I'm still a vocal guy. Like I'm encouraging the kids to do something great, and I kind of look more for like the bigger picture things. Like it's not just about a kid. We're talking more about the outfield players right now. It's not just about a kid missing a tackle. It's like, well, what led to that player missing the tackle, right? So you're looking about those little details that as to why things happen, so you can help the team most effectively. Not just about 1v1 defending, which is obviously very important as well. So it's about the best teacher of the game is the game itself. So it's really important for coaches to let their kids play, especially at the younger ages, because they're gonna learn best through experience. Um, and I think it's very important to talk about things, at halftime, after the match. Stop things in training. Let them see the different pictures, walk through different pictures, and that's more and more important as you get older. Because the game obviously gets more competitive, and there's more players as you get older. It goes from 7v7 to 9v9 to 11v11. The same thing true is for goalkeeping. Like let them grow, let them experience things, because they're not going to get better if you just tell them. And of course, there's not enough time in a day to do that. If you're going to tell them every single thing they're going to try to encounter throughout that game, or at that maybe age group, of what you feel would be, because obviously maybe at U9 the crossing isn't that great, so you're not so worried about balls in the air, but you're talking to your goalkeeper about coming off their line to control their box, or to cut down angles on shots, or to hold as many shots as possible. Sometimes younger goalkeepers, the U8 U9 level, they tend to sometimes go down their knees a lot if they don't have goalkeeper training, right? So maybe you focus on two or three things, for that game or for that week, for the goalkeeper, for the team to work on. You don't want to overwhelm them, but certainly it's a learning experience. When I talk to my players at the U10 level right now for my team, you know, they have a lot of fun. I mean, the last training session, they were just flying, like smiling the whole training session. But we were just working on receiving, and finished with a fun game where they have basically two touches to score, and they have three seconds to score, two teams, and they're just like the team wins, and they're all just jumping up and down, and they're ecstatic when they win. The losing team does 10 push-ups. So just trying your best as a coach to put them in positions where they're learning and growing through the game. That's so important.
No, I totally agree, and I think that as coaches, we have that responsibility to manage those expectations, right? Manage our own expectations, as like kind of like you're saying, right? Just if it's a U9 player, monitoring or tending to a cross versus a U19 player, well, the actions, expectations, decisions are going to be completely different, right? But the solution may be the same, right? Because it's the same problem, but the expectations, the reactions, all the decisions, all that stuff is going to be different. So if we're constantly cutting that development process short by not allowing them to think, now not allowing them to have those experiences
Mm.
and to solve them themselves, then it just becomes a very difficult situation where that development becomes a little hindered, right? And there's no, and I'm not saying there's a way or there's a right way or a wrong
Of
way. I'm
course.
just saying that, from my experience and from speaking to all the goalkeeper coaches, a lot of it does have to do with just the fact that we have to let the kids play. Um, so lastly, you're going to talk about, you're going to present on those those nonverbal cues, right? Um, Give me an example. What's one? Just give me one. Some give us something, right?
Sure.
Um, Give us something to look forward to. What would be an example of like one visual cue that I could almost like put into practice tomorrow if I'm on the field?
I don't mind giving two or three real quick for the goalkeeper.
Perfect.
It's just obviously paying attention to the game at all times, and you know with that paying attention, like there's going to be like maybe small things you say, but just being tuned in, locked into the game, locked into the situation, and then you have those things of what you say. Again, I mentioned it a couple times already. Whether you're up by 3 or down by 3, how do you look? Like, what's your body language look like? Because it should be the same. For the great goalkeepers, it should be the same. Whether you're up by 3, if we're up by 3 and you're the goalkeeper and you're in net, you're keeping that shutout, right? Like there's nothing getting by you, right? Now, if you're down by 3, there's still nothing getting by you because if you keep the ball out of the net and you support your team and you prevent all these issues from happening, we get a goal, it's 3-1. Another goal, it's 3-2, and now it's anybody's game, right? So it's carrying yourself the same way at all times. And there's so many goalkeepers around the world that are great at this. But I was just looking at some clips of Oliver Kahn, and Oliver Kahn was one of my role models growing up. He was never the most technically clean goalkeeper, as far as his holding of shots, but the guy was just a warrior. And those second saves, third saves, right, where you know sometimes we see younger goalkeepers, they might watch a shot go in, right? That's not happening with Oliver Kahn. He's going 120%, right? If it goes upper 90, his hand's going to be outstretched. Maybe it's barely going over his hand. If the ball goes a yard wide, he wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it because we have good sense of our goal and he has excellent sense. But just if you think it's going to be on frame, you're giving it your best effort. If it hits the post, you're getting right back up. If you make the first save, you get up a rebound, you're getting up right away and making the second save. If it's a PK and it's called against you, you're not changing the call, right? Like the PK, whether it was a rightful PK or, most of the time when teams get PKs called against them, it's like, hey, come on, it wasn't a handball, he didn't trip and whatever. Guess what? The ref is not changing their call at that point. Next play, we got to make the save, right? And those goalkeepers who can make the save, it's such a driving force for your team, and that could just change the game. Like you make that save. Again, it changes the game. Your team is right back in it. Now your teammates know, like, this goalkeeper is going to run through a wall with me. So I better have their back too.
Yeah, and like where can I practice that? Like where would I be able to practice those second saves and that posture, that posture and that stick to itiveness and that attitude? Where can I practice that?
Everywhere. I mean, and I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. So we'll start with off the field, like in life. So when you find these challenges in life, and we all, I'm sure you and I have felt that way. We're all human beings. So sometimes we face something and we get down, right? We get disappointed, we get frustrated. But then after you rationalize through your head, you come back and say, you know what? I'm going to use this as a learning experience, and we're going to get after it. I'm not going to let this stop me. And same thing should be true of the goalkeeper. So, let's say let's a young goalkeeper, they don't do well on a test. Well, you know what? The next test, I'm going to study and prepare. I'm going to do my very best, make sure I know the material, and I'm going to ace that thing. And same thing's true with goalkeeping. Every time you go and kick the ball with your friends, every time you have little get-togethers with your friends where it's 3v3, 4v4, whatever it may be, every training session you have with your teams, with your coaches, every training session you go to, every camp you go to, that's where it starts. That's where it starts. That's the opportunity to never say die, so to speak, to get after it every single time. And you're going to play the way you train. And you'll get to the point as young goalkeepers and older goalkeepers where you, after a game, you should be fatigued because you're going to be physically fatigued, but I think more importantly, you're probably more mentally fatigued than anything because you're so focused and involved in every aspect of the game that concentration and focus is draining. But when you get to the point where your training sessions are harder than your games, you're doing the right stuff because that's the point you want to be where it's just second nature to you to give it your best, to make second, third saves if necessary, to run through a wall, those type of things. So yeah, it starts everywhere, off the field, every training session, every kick around, and obviously in the games are also a learning experience, especially for younger players. Don't Nobody is going to remember, and I mean nobody, maybe no, nobody's going to remember. Nobody goes for, plays collegiately and says, okay, remember that game we lost as U9 players? Because guess what? That game is a learning experience and helped you get to the point where you are now. So every situation you have on the pitch for goalkeepers, for field players, is an opportunity to learn, grow, and to get after it and show, especially for goalkeepers right now, we're talking about, what kind of leader you can be.
No, that's fantastic. And I think, that approach of like just always giving it your all, never quitting, stick to itiveness that you just need to develop as a person, as a human being, right? On the field, off the field, having a positive attitude, positive outlook, because there are going to be things on the field that happen that are out of your control, right? The one thing you can control is your level of focus, your level of positivity, and how you're reacting to some of those situations. So very very important that you practice those skills as well. A lot of it, some people may have that, and like anything else, right? Some of those skills may be given from birth. Others, you just have to learn to develop them. And as you develop them, it's like anything else. It's like a muscle. It's only going to get stronger. You're only going to get better at that thing. Um, so 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 as we wrap it up, you know, you got one or two more things that we can look forward, we can have to look forward to in your presentation at the end of the week.
Yeah, it's just going to be an awesome presentation. So we talked about, obviously it's about, again, the vocal and non-vocal leadership of the goalkeeper. So we're going to talk about, again, we talked about the what you say, when you say, and how you say it, right? So important. We'll talk about the specific commands for the goalkeeper. So, and you keep them short, direct, clear. So we'll discuss all those different commands the goalkeeper can use during the game. We'll talk about the importance of the communication for when your team has the ball and when your team doesn't have the ball. And then obviously with the non-vocal components, just a matter of how you carry yourself on the field, off the field, your relationship with your players, your relationship with your coach. It's all connected, and that's the great thing about this month's presentation as well. Not just for me and Jordan, but for all the other coaches involved, is that all the topics are connected. But at the same time, they're going to offer so many different avenues to explore of leadership. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate the platform. Just because off of one topic we have three different sessions, right? And we have potentially um, 5 to 6 different coaches participating. So that's 6 different ways to view and look at leadership. So
Right.
so that's and again, if it doesn't if it doesn't resonate, one thing maybe doesn't resonate, the other thing absolutely will. So very very important. It's a good topic this month. So we hope you can join us. Coach Bob, thanks for joining me today, and we appreciate your time, and we look forward to your presentation at the end of the week.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Art. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.